We say a very good afternoon to the new MP for Runcorn and Helsby, the lovely Sarah Pochin. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, Jeremy. Thank you for inviting me on the show, as always.
I'm very upset with you, but I'll talk.
I know why. It's because I'm not in the studio with you, isn't it?
No, it's because Mike Graham seems to be your favourite, from what I've heard.
Well, that's because he's taking me to lunch.
Yes. Well, I'm busy working, aren't I? You've heard the news. I'm doing your conference. You're excited about that, aren't you?
I'm very excited about that.
Looking forward to seeing you, Sarah. Thank you. It's really interesting to me and to many viewers and listeners, and I want all sorts of opinions. It's really important. Nigel Farage today, proactive, not reactive. Nigel Farage standing up, putting meat on the bone and doing something that I haven't seen a British politician do for a long time. Stand for an hour, unscripted, take on and answer questions from reporters who are deliberately trying to trip him up, and be brave enough and strong enough to say, I've read the room, I know what's happening in this country, and whatever is going to be thrown at myself and my party, I swear to you, the electorate, I'll do my best to get it done. Brave words.
That's right. And Nigel is one of those very rare and special politicians who does read the mood of the British people and who knows exactly what needs to happen now. And I believe that he understands, as I believe too, that the British people now do have the stomach for something radical. They know that we have to declare a state of national emergency, and that the legislation that we are introducing, that will be in our manifesto that we've been talking about today, is uncompromising. And that's where we are now at. So reform will, as we've been saying for a long time, on day one, start the process of leaving the ECHR.
That was my phone. That was really embarrassing, wasn't it? I'm so sorry to interrupt you. That was... Sorry, how unprofessional. Crack on, Sarah.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, went,
the second thing that we'll do, Jeremy, is we will repeal the Human Rights Act. And these two things in themselves have to go, because this is what the industry of left-wing lawyers rely on for endless appeals of these illegal migrants.
Right, so let's cut to this. You were a magistrate for 20 years, and what I said to Isabel, I want to say to you, this isn't about what I think or really, this is about the British people. So my job is to ask questions, okay? So radical, yes. Achievable, I think a lot of people contacting the show hope it is, but let's talk about the ECHR and the Human Rights Acts. To me as a voter, I think that this country should be able to decide what it does with its territory, with its people, and I think a government's first responsibility, as I said an hour ago, is to look after its own. I get told by all sorts of people, I had Ivan Sampson on an hour ago, that you know, you can't just change international law. You can't just do what you want to do. There are, you know, strict... John McDonnell says, you know, this is... so you want children to live unsafely and die, do you? How? Whatever his impetus, belief, verve, whatever you want to call it, how is reform going to take on the establishment, the blob, the critics, the mainstream media, all of the legalities, all of the problems that will be thrown? Because the critics today are saying it's not possible what he's saying he'll do. It isn't possible. Now, I happen to believe it is, and I hope it is, but how do you convince people that, Sarah?
It absolutely is possible. It's about the will of the government. And for 14 years, the Conservative government have betrayed the British people and effectively got us into this place. And 12 months of a Labour government has just exacerbated and speeded up, if you like, the problem that we're now facing. But it's about the will of the government. And if the British people want to see a stop to this, then these policies will be in our manifesto and they will vote for it. And when we are in power with the will of the British people behind us, then we have the majority in government to do these things. You can leave the ECHR.
Are you telling me then that politicians in the past who have had majorities, I'm thinking Boris Johnson, I'm thinking have not actually had the will, despite being given that electoral advantage, that they haven't faced down the people that Dominic Cummings, I have to say, not a fan, but he turned out to be correct, didn't he, talks about, that the people that really in the shadows are seemingly running this country. I mean, loads of people texted today, Sarah, and saying, what about the House of Lords? They block anything that makes sense. How are you going to deal with the House of Lords?
We just keep pushing it through. Boris opened the floodgates again to immigration. Boris turned out to be a really liberal conservative, didn't he? How terribly disappointing he was on this issue and others, but on this issue in particular. The fact is that if you have a state of emergency, if under the Vienna Convention you feel that your national security is being threatened, which it clearly is, then you are able to disapply laws that, as I say, the left-wing human rights lawyers use for endless appeals. That is what reform will do. We will take and we will make those radical moves. And yes, we will be criticised for it. It doesn't change anything about the basic laws of this country. Law and order in this country is based on our own common law. That doesn't change if we leave the ECHR. What does change is that we take back control of our judicial system. We take back control of our judges. And we stop these endless appeals of these migrants. So it means that we can immediately detain and then deport every illegal immigrant that either arrives in this country or that we find in this country.
It's really interesting. I had Ivan Sampson on. He's a friend of mine. Listen, we would disagree on most things, but you know, he was good enough to come on. I wouldn't, you know, it's just an opinion. I'm not saying he looked defeated, but I felt that there was a sort of acknowledgement from Ivan that you know, that the tide really is turning. And I think, I mean, I've made this point on so many occasions. I think that when you've got a government, or successive governments, Sarah, that seem to have not had the gumption, for want of a better word, sound like my mum now, to actually be unpopular. I mean, the great thing about Thatcher, love her or loathe her, was she didn't give a toss. Somebody once said to me, the thing about Thatcher was that there were 400 Tory MPs, and if you didn't agree with her, she got, you know, she sacked you. At the end of 10 years, there were 399 MPs that she'd sacked and her, so it was time to go. I see politicians who are interested in legacy, so they don't do enough. I see or saw a man today who basically believes in something and didn't just say it for the sake of vote, said it because he believes it. And I think it's very interesting listening to the outpouring of sort of, you know, shock and horror by the left. I mean, what is this, the Liberal Democrats? Farage's plan crumbles under the most basic scrutiny. The idea that Reform UK is going to magic up some new places to detain people and deport them to, but don't have a clue where those places would be, is taking the public for fools.
Listen, that is just white noise, Jeremy. The fact is it doesn't matter where we detain them, they will be deported. And this whole policy is not a long-term thing. As soon as the message gets out there that you come to these shores and you are detained and deported, then people stop coming. Australia's done it, as I've said before. The fact is as well, under this new illegal migration bill or mass deportation bill, like it or loathe it, that's the terminology we now need to be using, because we are being invaded. Under this bill, the Home Secretary now has a legal duty to deport anyone who is here illegally. And incidentally, I should add, it's not just about the people arriving on the boats, it's about people that have overstayed their visas. And there are hundreds of thousands of those too, which are not checked up on. Is
it, I guess what I'm asking you badly, Sarah, is it idealistic or is it achievable? What Nigel Farage said to the British people today, because the traction's extraordinary. Is it idealistic or is it achievable?
It's utterly achievable with politicians, like reform politicians, who truly believe that now is the time that this has to, well, we believed it should have been done years ago, but the point is we've got to the stage now, even with 4 MPs, we will get in government, because you are talking now to a real politician who, again, like you said about Mrs. Thatcher, I don't care how much abuse I get from the liberal, you know, Greens and all the rest of it. You know what? This is about enacting the will of the British people. It is about a state of national security, and you have to have politicians that don't care about being popular.
And I think that's a really good point. And I have to say, I don't know who it was. I think it was Ryan Sobey, bless him, from The Sun. He made a really good point, because I was saying that if look, whatever your politics, right, you would think if you were interested in keeping your job or example, being a success in your job, you'd go, oh, I'll listen to my employers or I'll listen to my customers. Let's make it that. You know, I know what they want, how they want to be treated and what they want to buy. I'm going to give them what they want. I said to him, why can't Starmer, right, forget the insults, why can't that man in number 10 sit there and go, oh, geez, OK, this is pretty obvious. I'm going to have to change tack here because I've got everything. And Ryan Sabey said the problem he's got, which Reform do not have, is that he has a party in the Commons of all sizes and shapes and different parts, right, that he's put under this one umbrella, and he spends his entire time robbing Peter to please Paul and all the rest of it, whereas Reform has 4 MPs, and presumably the people that would stand in 2029 would be like-minded in terms of why they would be standing and what they believed in. So that is a starter. What would you say to people, and there have been calls to this show, who say words are one thing, OK, but you know, Nigel Farage will not be able to defeat the system, and it would be... a lot of people, some people, are saying this is pie in the sky. This is something that is easy to say but won't be possible to do.
The point is, Jeremy, no one has said this before for a start. We are fearless. Reform politicians are fearless. We will stand up to the establishment, and the establishment should be really concerned, because we will form the next government and we will do these things. It's about having the will and the determination to stand up for what is right.
In the next government, Justice Secretary, Home Secretary, either way, if you don't talk to me, you're in trouble. Just before you go, we've got a woman from the a spokeswoman from the Free Speech Union next. I'd love your take on this, because there was, of course, that press conference where you and the other women in Reform talked about the safety of women, and I can't go into a specific case we're going to talk about yesterday, but I'm still traumatised myself about that bloke from Bournemouth the other day who stuck his hands down the trousers of a 17-year-old on Bournemouth Beach, and 2 years later has been told by a judge that, ready for this? Jesus, you know, it was an aberration. He's had a bad upbringing. You're free to stay. God help me if there is you are Home Secretary. I mean, he should be out of this country in a heartbeat. But
he will be.
Good. Female students are to be forced to share toilets and changing rooms with biological males at top universities across the UK, flouting the rules. How's Reform going to deal with this ridiculous man?
Well, not under my watch. I've made it very, very clear that if I was in the cabinet in a position where I could influence this, that no biological males will ever be able to inhabit women's safe spaces. It's an absolute disgrace. One of the things that upsets me most is about schools, secondary schools, where young girls are going through, you know, starting their menstruation and things like that, have to be in a toilet situation with giggling boys. I mean, it's absolutely shocking, and it will never happen under my watch.
And that's another thing that I've said as well. I don't understand why the very people who I've supported for a long time, women's rights, protect women, that goes out the window. When a migrant, that story in Bournemouth is factual. He attacked a girl who will never recover from it, but he's free to be back on that beach today because of this left-wing lawyer. Where are the people who talk about women's rights and protecting young women and children, quite rightly? Where's John McDonnell saying that that man violated that woman? Nowhere, because he's an illegal migrant. That's exactly the hypocrisy. It's appalling. That's appalling.
I talk a lot about this whole issue. I'm accused of being racist. I'm accused of making it up. You know, day after day now, more and more statistics come out about the degree of sexual assault crimes that are now being recorded, that the perpetrators are illegal. Well, foreign nationals, let's put it that way. You can't escape the facts. It's risen by 62% in the last 4 years, the sexual assaults by foreign nationals. It's a fact that there are cultures now in this country that do not respect women and girls. Nobody has been, the Tories won't say that, the Labour definitely won't say it, but Reform will say it, and we will deal with it.
It's very powerful, I should say, isn't it, when a woman politician says that? It rather unnerves the people who feel that that's not something that should be said. I can't let you go. It's a little bit light-hearted to finish. It's been quite serious. Well, you're going for dinner or lunch with Mike?
Well, I'm going for lunch, but I'm always open to invitations.
Yeah, well, I'll have dinner then. You can have lunch with him and dinner with me. Okay. Yesterday was probably the most unedifying day ever in the history of my broadcasting career. The pictures of Angela Rayner not in Ethiopia, but Angela Rayner on a blow-up boat in the sea by Hove, not trying to get into this country, but basically with a vape, a tattoo, and a blow-up.
It wasn't the best look, was it?
Not really, love. Now, Three Homes Angela, named by Mike as the Minister for Housing herself, no other bugger. I mean, it's an extraordinary thing, because I know politicians, you know, can be serious and they can be that. This is a woman whose party have declared war on anybody who's successful, who dares to live in London or any other major city, daring to buy a house on the coast, has now got 3 houses. When I go to Newcastle, as you know I do the whole time, nobody thinks the Labour Party is for the working man and woman anymore. Angela Rayner is the union's darling, the union's sweetheart. What an absolutely appalling look yesterday. Not in the boat, which was bad enough already, but just the whole thing. Where's your socialist values? Where's the belief of the people? Now, where did she get the mortgage from?
But this is it, isn't it? This is Labour. Labour are back. Let's face it, utter hypocrisy, champagne socialists, as we've called them for years, and it hasn't changed, has it? So it's not all right for what she thinks of as the wealthy of this country to have a second home, but it's all right for her. How many times over the years have we talked about Labour politicians shutting grammar schools, yet they went themselves? Yeah. Against private education, yet they went themselves. This is Labour hypocrisy. They've never changed. And that's the difference with a reform politician. You don't get that hypocrisy. We are what we are. I am what I am. I'm self-made. I've worked hard, you know, and I've got here through grit and determination. These people are living in a bubble. They're career politicians. And I really don't believe they understand what it's like in places like Runcorn to have no money in your pocket, to not be able to get on the housing ladder because illegal migrants are taking your houses, by the way. So Angela Rayner may very well have 2 houses. I've got residents in Runcorn who can't even get a house.
Good to have you on as ever. You're more of a gondola and champagne lady for me. The brilliant Sarah Pochin.